As you know, there has been protests in all of Serbia, and I've been asked left, right, and centers in consultations, in my comments of my videos on social media, what's going on there? Is Serbia safe? Is it at war? Why are visas not getting approved? And is it a good time to move there? And what is the protest about? And so on and so forth. And today I'm going to talk to you about what I see from, my point of view. I'm not really wrapped up much in the politics in Serbia here. I have other things that I have on my plate than looking at that. But when I read, articles, I see things on social media, I read the paper, here in Serbia, I get to decide what I see from my point of view, from someone who is relatively newer to Serbia, who has not been raised here all his life. For the people that don't know what's going on here, there was a concrete awning at the Novi Sad train station that fell last year, and it killed 15 people. And the thing is that this train station was renovated and finished renovation last year, and a couple months after completion of the renovation, it fell and killed people. And so people are saying that there's been mad corruption. They want people held accountable for it, and they don't want this to just be brushed under the rug like they do see with many other things. And they're saying that there's government corruption happening, and this is something that happened because of government corruption, because they spent so much money and only invested so much. There's been reports saying that this was, they used poor concrete, that they didn't do a good job, that the people that got the contracts were friends of the president here in Serbia, which I don't know if this is true or false. But what I do know is that if the people want accountability here in Serbia or in any country, that they should get it, especially when you see the amount of people out on the streets. When you have 15 people die in a public space, someone needs to be held accountable. And there was a number of weeks that went by and nobody was arrested. There was no talk about it. And so slowly there were protests every day, every Friday. They shut down the streets for a 15-minute of silence. They didn't see anything being developed when it comes to accountability. And so what happened was the students started protesting, refusing to go to class, and that's what's actually started the huge protest. And now, to this day now, there's another protest where the lawyers and the judges have completely shut down the judicial system and are not going to work for 30 days as well. And so, yes, this might have some backlash when it comes to the court processes. But when it comes to residency and things of that nature, we don't have to go through judges and the court processes for any of our processes. So when it comes to residencies, purchasing property, things of that nature, that's still doable. The purchase of property is going to be a little bit difficult because you need a lawyer in order to do that. But residency, you don't typically need a lawyer for anything. A business setup, yes, you'll need a lawyer to do that, but there's a couple ways you can work around that as well. But one of the comments that I get brought up here is the ongoing protests in Serbia causing a war because all Serbian embassies are currently slow in issuing visas. There is no war here in Serbia at all. These protests are very, calm. Well, I shouldn't say calm. They're pretty rowdy if you ask me. But there's no actual back and forth between police and government. There's no fighting. Some are saying that there's government pushed by the Western countries, and there's Western influence that are backing these protests up. Some people are telling me that the people are all behind this, and I'd love to hear from my Serbian viewers. What do you think, and what do you have to say? Do you believe that what's going on right now is something that is being pushed by the West, or is this something that the people want when it comes to accountability and to, hold the government more accountable? But I can tell you right now, there is absolutely no war here in Serbia. I wake up every day, I still run my business, I still help clients, I still travel to the grocery stores, go to the gym, and do all the things that I do on a daily basis as normal. There are other things that are happening here. People are upset about the high food costs when it comes to Serbia, which supposedly they are higher than most of the other countries that are surrounding Serbia. And so there are some boycotts to that. Don't go to grocery stores on Fridays and Saturdays so that they can get the prices lowered, which is something that they actually did in Croatia and actually got a positive response, and their food prices fell in Croatia. And so Serbs are trying to do that as well. Now, when it comes to issuing visas, that is, again, something that, and when it comes to embassies, I've spoken about this on other videos, that I myself, even when I was trying to get citizenship through descent through the Serbian embassy in Canada, I got absolutely nowhere. I'm working with a client right now out of Australia who's trying to do the same thing for himself. He was actually born in Serbia. He's just trying to get his paperwork renewed, get his wife temporary residency and kids citizenship through descent, and he's absolutely getting nowhere. When it comes to visas, though, that has nothing to do with what we can help with. It also depends on what country you're coming in from, what visa are you looking to come through on, and all these other things. And I can say that the protests here in Serbia have absolutely nothing to do with it. The next comment that I do get is that it seems like a strange time to move there. All power and solidarity to the Serbian working class during the general strike. Yes, people, you might think that it's a strange time to move here, but it's a strange time to move to Canada, I would say, too, with what the inflation done there, the cost of living, no jobs there, the fourth wave feminism, gender ideology, the fact that you do not have actual freedom there, that you're actually living in a dictatorship in a communist country. But hey, you can decide where you want to go as a human being. If you're a fully grown adult and you want to go to XYZ country, hey, go there. A lot of people would say also, hey, listen, United States is great. And I speak to many Serbs here that I moved from Canada, and they're like, why would you move here? And when you explain to them what's going on here or in Serbia that is different from Canada, they understand it. Or I spoke to a guy in the sauna the other day, and he says, yeah, there's a lot of people coming back to Serbia that were either born here and left in former Yugoslavia, or that have no ties to Serbia and have found that this country is still normal in some sense. Serbian people, he said, we do have our faults, but we do understand what is our natural way of life, which the West has completely gone backwards, and I agree with that. I also agree to the solidarity of the Serbian working class with the general strike. That is something that they did for one day, I believe, here in Serbia, is that all businesses shut down in protest and support of the students when it comes to these protests. And I completely agree with that. No country is perfect, and regardless of what's going on in those countries, it could seem weird time to move. But, my wife, who sees these protests, she says, listen, I would much rather live in a country like Serbia where you see 300,000 people on the road protesting the government than in a country like Canada or the United States, where absolutely nobody protests. They take it up the back end and just keep making social media posts, talking about it and not actually taking action. Or if you do protest, such as the Freedom Convoy, that you're going to have cops going around taking pictures of your license plate and freezing your bank accounts because it's a free country, right? You're going to have women trampled by the horses. You're going to be locked down like no other country was locked down during a certain time of the past 5 years. And you absolutely have no freedoms. You're afraid of going out in the middle of the streets. In these protests, actually, the students were sleeping out in the fields, and people were actually cooking home-cooked meals for them and bringing them out. They did I believe it was a 90-kilometer march from Belgrade into Novi Sad, and you could see people just bringing food out to them and feeding them as they're going, and it's beautiful to see how Serbia comes together in a time of need. And I'm not saying that this is, a good thing or a bad thing, but it's something that I myself never saw in Canada. The only time I saw such unity in Canada was amongst the Serbian people when we protested in 1999 with other Serbs. We completely blocked out the downtown city cores of major cities in Canada in protest of what was going with the NATO bombing. And so the last question I want to touch on here is that this was based on another video, but the main comment here is, I'm surprised Serbia is in bed with the WEF, which I think that is not 100%. But they're just being there for whatever. But with all the protests that are going on, not a good sign, sadly. I believe it's a very good sign, because the people are gonna not take the corruption that is being unfolded by the Serbian government. The people want change. Change is always good. The most growth happens when people change. The most growth happens when there's tough times. So I believe that these protests are a good thing. My opinion is whatever the people say should go on, and the government should do as the people say, because the people are the majority. The governments serve the people, and that should be end of the story. So I'd love to hear your comments on this topic and any questions you may have. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.